Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to do another pit breakdown of pit number 45 North in the Mineland Wildlife Area in southeast Kansas. Before I get into the video, if you guys would, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please become a subscriber. It's a great way to support the channel, support what I'm doing, lets me know I'm getting good content out there to you guys. Another way, good ways to do that is to like the video. If you like the content I'm putting out there to you guys and the information I'm putting out there, like the video. And if you have any questions, be sure to comment and I'll get back with you guys. And that helps me to get better content out there to you guys and lets me know what you guys are looking for. Okay. So pit number 45 North. First off, let's get into where pit 45 North is. Pit 45 is if you go to Scammon Express, you will go, 4 or 5 miles. It's 4 or 5 miles, not quite to West Mineral. It's the first road to the east of West Mineral. Can't remember the exact road it is, and it'll be here on the map. It'll show you where it is. Exactly zooming in on the map there, circled, get you guys to the exact location. But you go north 1 mile from that road, and it's off of Scammon Road right there. And then it's just a mile back to the east of West Mineral, and then you'll take off Scammon Road, go a mile to the north, whichever road that is. Trying to think of which one that is there, can't remember exactly. Go to that road just to the north, and then go a half a mile back to your west, and there'll be a little pit road going south right there. Go into that pit road, and that'll take you straight to pit 45 North. Now into the boat ramp conditions. It's got a good boat ramp in it. It's got decent parking in it for any size boats. Any size boat can put in there with no problems. Got a great boat ramp. I don't know of any problems of it dropping off in low water. Never heard of any problems. I've never had any problems. I've only been in there in my Scamp though, and a buddy's flat bottom that was on a trailer. So I've never seen or heard any problems in there, though a lot of people I know have fished that pit out of bass boats and do like that pit. The water clarity is not clear, but it's not dirty. It's stained. It's in between. So you can do whatever you want in there. It's not dirty water, not clean water, just right in between, which is a lot of good mixture. That's why a lot of people like to fish this pit. It is 19.14 surface acres approximately, and there is 1.62 miles of shoreline in pit number 45 North. I myself, anytime I've been in there, have averaged per boat 6.5 fish per boat per trip in that pit. 1 in every 13 is over 3 pounds. I personally have not caught one over 3 pounds, but a buddy of mine did in an MLF tournament that we did win there of Columbus Bass Club back over the summer. You'll see a picture of that. I'll post a picture here in a minute of where that was. You'll see that later on, exactly where the location of that fish was caught at. Now, the first picture here, you're going to see a red area circled, and you're going to see a yellow area circled. The first area I'm going to talk about is going to be the red area, and the second area I'm going to talk about is going to be the yellow area. Okay, so now let's get into the second picture here, which is going to be our red area. Now, the white right there, that is going to be the boat ramp. That's where you're going to put in at on the north side of the pit. And then back over where that red's all circled, that's kind of shallower area back in there of the pit. That's the shallower part of the pit. And the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks planted brush piles on this side of the pit. I know for sure on this side of the pit, you can see them when you're in there and the water's low, the water's up, you can see them. And you can see them on Google Earth here as well in these pictures. And then the green is a big flat right there, and it's got all these brush piles planted on it. I'm not sure. For bass they're good, and they're good for crappie too because they're cedar trees, and I've heard this is a good crappie pit for you crappie guys out there. And then the yellow dots are these brush piles out there. That's not the exact location of them. I just kind of dotted them out on there. If you go on Google Earth and look, you'll see them on there. They're pretty easy to see right in there. I think you can kind of see them. I hope if I didn't cover them up with the yellow dots out there. Those are the brush piles out there. Look for these areas in the spawn too in the springtime for these fish to be spawning around these or feeding up in them. Any time of the year to be feeding up in them on these flats. A warm day in the wintertime, they could be up there feeding on these flats. The morning time in the summertime and top water on these flats works great. Even getting up and flipping up into those trees with a heavier weight or a jig up in those when the sun comes up, they'll move into those as shade and to ambush their prey. Then the green dots, look for bedding bass in the spring in this area right here. It's real shallow, like I was telling you, and back there towards the back, those bass will spawn back in there. It gets pretty calm back in there. That's where they want to get back into cover back in there on those flats and spawn. And look up on that flat up there where the brush piles are too as well for those bass to spawn in. I personally have only been in here twice and have never caught a whole lot, but the first time I was in there, these brush piles were not in there. The second time I was in there, I think we caught 2 out of the 6 that day off of that bank there where the brush piles are. Now let's go into the second area, which is the yellow area I had circled. The red, right there, there's good brush in the water. And this is where we caught the 18-incher that day. The picture of it right there is of my buddy that caught it in the MLF tournament of the Columbus Bass Club over the summer. I believe it was the second MLF event they had over the summer in there. We ended up winning that one. We had 6 over 12 inches that day. I think we only caught 6 fish altogether. Every one of them was over 12 inches. Had that 18-incher, and then the other boat that was with us said they had a big one on and they lost it at the boat. So I've heard from a lot of guys, this is their favorite pit. A lot of the guys around the mineral area, this is their favorite pit because it ain't very far for them, and there's a lot of good quality fish in there. But right there where that red is, there's good brush in the water, like I was saying. There's like a good brush pile right there, and that's right where he caught that fish. And he caught it on a big hammer ringer worm, guys. That's a green pumpkin color right there, but he caught it in June bug. June bug, big hammer ringer worm, that was in the summertime. I believe that tournament was in August, if I'm remembering right. I don't think it was September yet. I think it was still August. The big hammer ringer worm, that is actually the story behind the big hammer ringer worm. This is the pit where I first seen the first fish ever caught on a big hammer ringer worm. I'm getting a little sidetracked there, but I'll go to this story before we get into going down through there. Me and my wife went in here years ago, never been in there before. We're like, let's go in there. So we put the scamp in there and we went in. And I was throwing a power worm. And she had actually won the big hammer ringer worm because I'd only really thrown their swim baits and was real big on their swim baits in the pit. And she won them in a pit tournament. We had some free big hammer ringer worms sent to us to give out in the pit tournaments. This was years ago, different pit tournaments than the Columbus Bass Club. And she ended up winning those as one of the drawings. So she had them and she's like, I'm going to throw one of these on a Texas rig while you're throwing that. And she kicked my butt with it. And I was like, wow, okay. So that's kind of when it started. And I started to notice the big hammer ringer worm. And it wasn't until just here last year is when I really picked up 2 years ago when I picked up on it. I had some for my son. I picked up some for him because I was like, here, this will work great on Texas rig. And then he started kicking my butt with it. And I was like, okay, so I got to start throwing that thing more now because this is twice now I've got my butt kicked with this thing for my wife and now my son. I think this is a sign that I need to start throwing this lure. And it was. It won me, it won me this tournament. It won another MLF tournament. It won two of the normal Columbus Bass Club events, and then also it helped me get, second place in one of them as well. I forget exactly how many it was there. Looking back, I'd have to write it all down where I could just quote it off the top of my head. So now let's get back to that area. That area there with the red has the brush piles there, and that is a good bank for big fish right there, at least anytime I have been in there. And then the yellow, it's decent, and there's some trees hanging over in the water. We did catch a couple of these fish that day down this bank. We caught 2, I believe, off of the flat in the first area, and then 2 or 3 in that brush pile area, and then 2 down this stretch, I believe, something like that. 1 or 2 of them, can't remember how many. And then the white, I've never really done any good down that bank yet, but I've only been in there twice. So I don't know a whole lot about the pit, but I just wanted to break this one down for you guys. It was a simple one tonight. I didn't have a whole lot of time after hitting practice with my son, so tried to do a pit that didn't have as much in it. Was pretty simple to fish. It don't take very long to fish it. You can smack it with 2 or 3 hours, or if you got 4 or 5 hours, you can hit it. We fished a 4-hour tournament in there, and really I was able to dissect it pretty good in that 4 hours. So 4 hours will allow you to fish it pretty good. If you got 1 or 2 hours, it's a good place to run into and hit, and you can get out of there really fast. It's not real big, break it down pretty easy. So hopefully this helps you guys next time you're out. If you want to go into Pit 45 North, go give it a try. These are why these videos are out there, to help you guys to watch them and decide where you guys want to go fishing. Out of all the pits out there, it can be hard for somebody that don't know much about these pits. Like me, I fished here my whole life. So to me, it's even hard for me to decide where I want to go fishing, but I know each time of the year these are good. So let's get into baits before I get off of here. Baits to throw in here. I've never fished here in the wintertime, but I would throw with the stained water. I would go with a sexy shaddish color swim bait. I like a 3.5 big hammer or a 3-inch big hammer in there. Jerk bait wise, I would go with a clown color. That stained color, watercolor, I like the clown color. And I also like Berkeley Stunna shad fillet. In the clown color, I like to throw the Vision 110. Vision 110 or the Vision 110 Plus. Usually I don't go too deep, so usually the Vision 110 does plenty good enough in there. And then I would also go with the shad fillet. Works good in there too in the Berkeley Stunna in the 110 Plus. I like that in the 110 Plus. It gets down deeper and it has a little bit of sink to it. And these are both good colors. And then Pro Blue will catch a fish in there as well. Pro Blue in the Vision 110 catches fish everywhere. The Alabama rig in here, guys. This is a pit if you want to catch some good fish. I bet you can catch them with the Alabama rig. I have seen lots of big shad in here the few times I've been in here. And if you get in there in the right time, this would be the time to throw the Alabama rig. And the winter time is the best time to catch your big fish on the Alabama rig. Just get out in the middle of these areas that the wind's blowing out in the middle of the pit. Look at towards the ends, both ends. That flatter area, if the wind's blowing out of the north, might not be too good. But if the wind's blowing out of the south, pushing it up there on the boat ramp right there where that bend is, that would be a good area to hit. And then also all the way down to the east, if that wind's blowing on that bank down in there, that's a good area to focus on right there where those shad can move up there, and then the bass will move up and feed on those shad wherever that wind's blowing. That pushes them around. Then in the summertime, big worms work good in there. The big hammer ringer worm on a Texas rig works in there. Also try deep cranking in there. That would be a good one. Get some, 12 to 20 foot divers, throw them around. Don't be afraid if you see shad busting out in the middle of the pit, get out there and throw that out in the middle of the pit. If you got front facing sonar, that helps a lot, but a lot of guys don't have that, yet, especially in this area being smaller in the pits. A lot of these guys don't have their front facing sonar. We're still pretty old school. I'm kind of up class, and I got the front facing sonar because all the tournaments I fish around, I got to have it, got to be competitive, got to learn how to use it. And the pits have really helped me learn how to use this and utilize it and see what I'm seeing. So just get out there in the middle. If you see those shad out there, if you see birds out there, that's another way to know there's shad out there. Wintertime, you won't really see them busting as much, but in the summertime, you'll see those shad busting and the bass busting on them. And you can get them with a topwater as well when you see that. Get a walking bait like a spook. And then also throw your deep diving crankbaits out there in the middle. That's another good pattern. There was a pit tournament one here a few years ago, not in here. It was on Pit 41, doing that out in the middle of the pit with the deep diving crankbaits. It also works well with the big hammer swim bait or any kind of swim bait, a smaller swim bait. Try to match the size of those shad depending on the time of the year it is. And that's what you want to go with. Usually a 3-inch to 3.5 inches is a good size swim bait to catch bass in the pits. Big Hammer makes a 5.5 inch that works really good as well. Even their 7-inch I have caught fish on. So just depending on the time of the year, how aggressive the fish are, is what size you want to go with your lures. So another thing to throw in there around the brush piles is the 2K jig little punk. Unless it's early in the year, And it's saying this one ain't got a real grassy bottom in it. There ain't much grass. So you can get away with a ball style head, which is the wrecking ball. And I like throwing that as well, the finesse jig around in there. And dragging that around in the cooler months would be a great time to do that in this pit because there isn't much grass. So hopefully this video helps you guys out and helps you the next time you guys come out to the Mineland Wildlife area. And I'll see you guys with the next video. Thank you.